Hi, my name is Karma. Welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're not going to be building or doing a let's play or anything like that. Instead, we're going to be having a little bit of a discussion. If you're a viewer of consolecaito, and I have a feeling that a lot of you are, then you might have seen on her recent stream when she presented a hypothetical. What if Animal Crossing had The Sims 4 style DLC? So today I figured I'd do a little bit of a deep dive into that topic. I'm mostly going to be talking about The Sims 4 specifically, because that's what the model is based on, but I will be adding in details specific to Animal Crossing just to relate the two topics. But for the most part, I'm just going to be talking about The Sims 4 and what the DLC is like, what's good and what's bad about it. So starting off with the pros, the main thing is that a DLC style like this has frequent updates, which mean lots of content. Animal Crossing players are notoriously not happy with the amount of content that New Horizons has. Even after the 2.0 update, there's still things where we say, but I want a little bit more, just a few more things to push this game over the edge. I want rugs outside, I want multiplayer games, all those sorts of things. So we would definitely benefit from that sort of thing. When the developers said that they would be supporting New Horizons with updates for a few years, a lot of people got their hopes up and figured that that would mean each one would be a major update. And by the end of it, Animal Crossing New Horizons would have more content than ever before. And it kind of does, but like I said, the community is still not satisfied, and I feel like we never would be. And so the style of DLC, where it's continuously getting updated, would really make the community happy. However, the list of cons is quite a bit longer than that. I've owned The Sims 4 for about 3 years, and I only have about 400 hours. Now, on the other hand, I've owned Stardew Valley and New Horizons for about a year and a half each, and I've accumulated 600 and 1,000 hours respectively. And of course I burn out on those too, but not quite as easily as I do on The Sims. The way I play The Sims is I play it for a week straight, and then I put it down for the next year. And I'm not the only one. So the question is, why? Well, in order for a DLC system like this to be feasible, the base game has to be empty enough to make the player want the DLC. Imagine New Horizons pre-updates, version 1.0, but even emptier than that. No bunny day, even. It has the basic functionality, but not a whole lot beyond that. And as updates come out over time, instead of just being free updates that come as part of the game, you have to pay for each of them individually. No holidays or seasonal items because you have to pay $40 for them. Sound familiar? The next thing is that all the Sims 4 packs are very costly. Now this kind of makes sense, because of course people have to be developing and designing these things. There's a lot of people that go into making these packs, and so they've got to get paid somehow. But are they really worth the prices that have been set? Let's do a bit of math. The base game costs $20. There's 11 expansion packs, each of which costs $40 each. Then 12 game packs for $20 each, 18 stuff packs for $10 each, and lastly, 13 kits for $5 each, coming out to a total of $945. If you wanted to buy every single pack in The Sims 4, this is how much it would cost you. And of course, any reasonable human being sees that number and goes, that's insane. I'm not paying $1,000 just to have a full game. But people do. Now, of course, most people don't pay the full amount. EA has frequent sales, and most people will wait for those before buying the game or any of the expansions packs or anything. So let's take a look at those numbers. The base game costs $5. 11 expansion packs at $20 each now. 12 game packs for $15 each. 18 stuff packs for $7 each, and 13 kits still for $5 each, coming out to a total of $596. Now this number is better, but still not great. $600 just to have a full game. Most people aren't willing to pay that much. Now of course there's some arguments that come up with this. The first one being, well, you don't have to buy all of them. They're there for a reason, they're sold individually for a reason. And you can customize your game however you'd like, and only spend around maybe $100. But the thing is, that's still a lot. If I buy a game for $20, then I expect to have a good amount of content, but I really don't. And besides, if you're a completionist, then of course you're gonna want to have every single pack, and so you end up spending a ton of money. And people who don't tend to feel alienated. I want to try everything since there's so much cute stuff in the game, but I can't afford to get more than a little bit. But karma, you might say, the game is 8 years old. If you stretch out all those payments over a long time, then that's not actually that bad. And that may be true, yes, but there's plenty of people who haven't been playing and purchasing packs for the entire time, like me. If I were to want every single pack, then I'd have to pay all of that at once, and that's insane. Okay, well, at least you get what you pay for. $600 worth of content has gotta be a ton, right? Well, in theory, yes, but in reality, not so much. Take a look at the kits, for example. Each kit costs $5. If we ignore the only kit that adds individual functionality, that being Bust the Dust, the number of items in these kits ranges from 15 to 33. So that can be anywhere from 15 cents per item to 33 cents per item. And that might not seem bad, but if you compare it to the average prices per item of other packs, expansion packs are 8 cents per item, game packs are 11 cents per item, and stuff packs are 16 cents per item. Especially given that those aren't even the sale prices, and all of the expansion and game packs and a solid amount of the stuff packs add individual functionality, comparatively the kits aren't worth it. And frankly, most of the other packs aren't either, in my opinion. Then lastly, the packs are really buggy. This might not be the case for all DLC. But in any case, EA tends to crank these things out without much regard for quality. If we think about how Happy Home Paradise was, it was basically an entire game that just happened to connect to your main game. In fact, Happy Home Designer for the 3DS was an entire game. And the fact that Happy Home Paradise is a DLC instead improves it, in my opinion, because it just adds more to your main game as well. And the Sims 4 packs, on the other hand, not really. Each one adds some functionality, I guess, but not a whole lot, especially when a lot of the time they don't even work right. If you're active in the Sims 4 community, you've almost certainly heard the name My Wedding Stories. This was a game pack released in early 2022 that was meant to significantly improve from the base game Weddings and add a ton of functionality, make them more realistic, and a lot more fun. In theory. However, EA really wanted to have a Valentine's Day release for these, but the pack wasn't ready in time and they released it anyway. Half the time it didn't function, and since it overrode the base game Weddings completely, your Sims just couldn't get married. And even after they released a patch for it in late March, it still wasn't perfect. To quote Little Simsy's review on it, "Your Sims mostly do what you want them to, but not always. That sounds about right for The Sims 4. And she's right, there's been plenty of times when I want my Sims to do something specific, and they just don't do it. Either because their pathing's messed up, or just because they don't feel like it. It's frustrating, and yeah, like I said, that might not be the case with every DLC. If Nintendo were to introduce something like this, they might be more high quality. But considering we're using The Sims 4 as a model for this, I figured it was definitely worth going over. Then lastly, I'd like to talk about a few things that I feel like are kind of cons and kind of not, but in any case, they're specifically about how this might translate to Animal Crossing. First off, there's the case of mods. I play The Sims 4 on PC, and so does a lot of the community, and so I have access to custom content. I can get a ton of new clothes, hairstyles, furniture that are absolutely gorgeous from completely free just by looking things up online. And yeah, some things are still only available if we pay for them, but most of the time it's really not worth it. Do I want to make my Sims have a very cute and adorable cottagecore kitchen? Absolutely. Given that I'm able to find tons of customizable CC online, completely for free, would I rather pay $5 to buy the official stuff from EA? No, I wouldn't. But Animal Crossing is and always has been a console game, and I highly doubt that Nintendo ever plans to change that. So that's not an option. And yes, it's possible to hack your Switch and get items that aren't available to the everyday player, but the average player isn't willing or even able to do that. And so, without even the possibility of mods for some of the players, we'd be depending entirely on DLC, even further alienating anyone who can't buy the DLC. Then, lastly, frequent updates really discourage new games. Speculation about Sims 5 is still just speculation. It's in development, supposedly, but there hasn't been any official announcement from EA or Maxis yet. Animal Crossing and Sims have been around for similar lifespans, but Animal Crossing has more games in its series, and this is likely due to limited update support. Pocket Camp and New Horizons are the only ones that have been frequently updated, and even with New Horizons that's come to an end. And yeah, you could definitely make an argument about new game versus extra DLC, especially given that Nintendo likes to phase out old consoles, and therefore create an entirely new game on a different console. So anyone who wants to play the new game has to buy the new console as well. However, that's an argument for another time. So, in conclusion, I personally am not in favor of Sims 4 style DLC. And I also recognize that it's highly unlikely for Nintendo to implement something like this, but if they did, I'd be pretty upset. I might buy a thing or two, but I'd be disappointed that I'm paying for an entire game, and I have to pay even more just to get all the content. So I hope you liked this video, and I hope you understand a lot of the points that I made. If you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I've heard from a couple people already, but other than that, not a whole lot, and especially given now that I've gotten a chance to really go into depth on my thoughts, I'd like to hear yours as well. So, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please make sure to subscribe, it would mean a lot to me, and I'll see you in the next one. Karma out.